Well, good morning. We're here with Marc Audet of the KB Bathurst Titans of the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League. How are you today, Marc?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good. About 2 weeks ago, you got, I guess you got the call from the Titans to come to join them from the Kirkland Lake Gold Miners. The biggest thing is, what's the difference between playing in the NJHL in Northern Ontario compared to the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League?
I mean, obviously, the NJHL is a very great league. It's a great development league for players, and you see that at the end of every year. But this league is definitely a bit faster, and you can really see just the speed of the game changes, and the way that I guess the game develops as it goes, and the fact that it's a level higher probably brings it's more of a select group of players that play, I believe.
Now you have taken, like I said, goalies to me have always taken a different route compared to I guess you say the forwards of the defense. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to develop than that. You played in Kirkland Lake, then you went to the Greater Metro for a year, then back to Kirkland Lake, and now you're in like say Bathurst. For a goalie, with the path being a little bit longer, a little bit different, how do you tell the younger goalies to stick with it to get to where you are?
Well, I mean, I came into playing juniors at 16 years old, and I started out in Iroquois Falls with the Eskimos, and ended up going to Kirkland Lake halfway through that season. And that's where I really started to learn more about maturity, I believe, is the biggest factor. Because when you're that young coming into a league playing with 20-year-olds, you tend to get caught up into things you shouldn't, and maybe you get a bit distracted and you try to follow them. But what you got to realize is you have school and you have a bunch of other things you got to keep focused on, and you got to keep working. Because when I was in Kirkland Lake at the age of 17, when I came back, I wasn't ready, and I wasn't ready to work. Was the biggest factor, is that I didn't know what a real work ethic was, and I ended up leaving because of it. And when I came back this year, I made sure that I was focused and put everything aside and was just ready to work day in and day out, and it ended up paying off.
And we from the Junior Hockey Network, the Spartans of the Greater Metro League was one of our members, and so is Kirkland Lake. But with the Greater Metro, a lot of people have different opinions of that. How did they help you get to where you are today?
I mean, obviously, a lot of people have different opinions about it, but I believe it's a different league because of the fact that they can have players from all over the world. I believe it adds a lot of variation to the game, and you end up playing with, say, some Swedish players who play a very open, quick style of hockey, and I think that helps goaltenders develop in multiple ways because you get to adjust to different styles of games, and you become better yourself for that.
Now, as a goalie, again, I've always said goalies are different compared to forwards and defense. But is there anything you had to adjust or change in your style of hockey from the NJHL to the Q?
Well, obviously, I mean, like I said, I have to get used to the speed a little bit, and then the shots aren't necessarily all that much harder. I mean, it's still the same group of guys, but these guys work on it every single day. When these guys get 20 minutes at the end of a practice or something, every single guy stays on for that 20 minutes, and I think that's a big factor. It's just the fact that they're willing to work and nonstop work to make themselves that much better. And I think in Junior A, some guys do that, but the majority will be off the ice fairly quick. And that's just one of the small differences.
Now, coming from Kirkland Lake, where they live and breathe hockey, they support, the gold miners, going into Bathurst, that's more known for mining, fishing, and forestry. And unfortunately, you guys are a little bit one of the lower attendance for the Q. Does it affect with the fans in the stands compared to playing in an arena where you have 300-400 people, smaller rink, and like you say, are cheering you guys on?
Well, I mean, it's a little bit different because, well, Kirkland Lake is definitely a great hockey community, and I think it's an awesome place to play. I mean, I really enjoyed my time there, and the fans and support from the town is amazing. For a junior A team, it's absolutely substantial. But playing at this level, I feel like every game I go into, I have so much adrenaline going through my body just because you see yourself on the big screen and you know there's people watching from a little bit all over, and just the fact that everything you do is watched upon so hard that you just end up having so much more energy for it and adrenaline going through your body, and the focus almost comes naturally.
Now, coming off your first game with the Titans, do you feel like you belong in the Q?
I definitely feel a lot more confident. I mean, going into that game, I was shaking in my skates. So I'm playing in Shawinigan against one of the top teams in the league right now. It was definitely a big challenge, and I kind of just took it as it went, and I didn't really think about it too much. I just came into the game confident, knowing that I'd be ready to go, and I just played my game, and it turned out fairly well. I mean, we didn't get the win, but I think the team played hard, and we had a chance of winning that game, and I think that's what matters.
Now, growing up with you being a goaltender, is there any role models that you use your style of play after?
Well, training with Marc Audet a few summers definitely helped me a lot. I mean, he's a great goaltender, and that's a great goaltender to base my style off. But, I mean, obviously, Carey Price, probably the top goaltender in the world right now. Just his calm style, and the fact that day in and day out he's been amazing for well over a year. So there's definitely a couple role models. And it helps a lot for young goaltenders as well to build off those role models and kind of see for themselves what it takes.
Now, what this question might stump you, but what makes a goaltender a goaltender?
I think there's a lot of factors that make a goaltender a goaltender. I mean, every single goaltender is going to be different in his own way. But I think one thing that we all have in common is the fact that
you're crazy.
We're always ready to show up, and a goaltender is a pressure position because if you make a mistake, the puck's in the net behind you, and I think every goaltender is ready to face that. So it's a high pressure position, and you got to be ready to face that and work at it every single day.
And the one question, I've known your dad, like say Marcel, for a couple of years now. He's helped a lot of players advance to the next level. With him, hockey is 24/7. Is that the same that goes for you?
Well, me and my dad have done a good job of separating kind of his hockey side and the dad side of things. So we've always been separating, like, when we talk hockey, it's strictly talking as, say, an agent or a family advisor. But when we talk as ourselves, we kind of separate that. So we learn to really separate the two.
So it doesn't bring the family dynamic in it. It stays hockey is hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
So what up until this point, what is your biggest achievement as a goalie when it comes to your hockey career?
Well, I think really clicking in kind of especially in this summer and this start of this season, coming in as a 19-year-old, it's kind of finally clicked that my junior days are almost done. And that's when I realized it's a now or never move. I mean, I've got to give it all I got because next year is my 20, and then after that, juniors are done, right? So I wish I would have realized sooner, and I wish I could go back and when I was 16, 17, go take advantage of it like I'm doing now. But if I could say anything, it's that young goaltenders should realize that it comes a lot sooner than you would expect it to, and to give it all you got from a young age.
And being like you said, 16 years old, you left home. You lived just outside of North Bay, Ontario, and you left home, went to Iroquois Falls. So as a 16-year-old, like you're playing with 20-year-olds, so you're thrown into, I guess, say the pool with 20-year-olds doing different things. So you get caught up in that, right?
Yeah, it's definitely a different atmosphere. There's a lot more distractions offered to you, and there's going to be a lot of temptation to kind of miss out on some of the important stuff in say school. I mean, you got to realize 20-year-olds are playing on their last year of junior, right? So they're gonna be wanting to live it up as much as they can and make the most of it. But as a 16-year-old, you have your whole career ahead of you. You kind of gotta stay focused on what you want and go for that.
Now, I use a lot of 16-year-olds when it comes to not just the NOJHL, but CJHL over. Not a lot of 16-year-olds are ready to play junior. I know you're not an expert on it, but if you could go back as a 16-year-old, would you play junior, or would you take another year midget, you think, before jumping into, as a goalie, jumping into the junior?
I think I'd go. I'd definitely go back to juniors again. I think you just build a certain maturity. Making that step to juniors right away, I think I learned I got all of the bad stuff out of the way right away. Everything bad that you could do as a 16, 17-year-old in a junior league, I did, and I think I got that out of the way right away. And after that, I came back more mature and was able to really realize what it took and step up my game and become a leader because of that.
Now, the last question is, who would you like to thank to this point in your career and going forward?
Well, I mean, obviously my dad, and my dad's been a major part of it. I've gotten a lot of opportunities through that, and the fact that he's always been driving me to work and to nonstop give it all you got. Also, I mean, the rest of my family, my grandparents, my mom, everybody's been supporting me so much. They follow me every single day, and I think that's a huge factor. The family of a hockey player, the amount that they support us is absolutely insane. I have my goalie coach, Stefan Menard. He's helped me a lot develop as a goalie and really taught me a lot of lessons on life and just becoming a better goaltender in person as well. My coaches, Coach Marc Audet took me in when I was 17, and I had a lot of meetings with Coach. And he really talked to me about hard work and talked to me about life and how every day you just got to take it because nothing is given. So that's definitely huge for me.
So now, if you had the next step, I guess after this year with being a 19-year-old, you have one more year junior. If you had a chance, where would you like to go?
At this point, I mean, I'm kind of really just taking it as it comes and day by day and working to stay here. And then for next year, I mean, there's no plan right now. See what happens this year, and then at the end of the season, we'll see what goes on and take next year when it comes.
Totally understandable. Well, thank you very much, Mark, and good luck on the rest of the season.
Thank you.
We'll talk soon.